this stuff called electricity that goes through some of them. You can't just walk off of military bases, generally speaking, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cousins of all ages. And if they are walking off of military bases, that is unexpected because it can't happen unless the guards are told to turn a blind eye. The number of, and I quote, independent departures, end quote, which top 1,000 and could be higher, has not been previously reported, but the phenomenon is raising alarms among immigration advocates. 1,000. And if they're reporting 1,000, it's probably 5,000. And we're not going to sit here and say that every single Afghan refugee is a Islamic extremist. Just like I won't say that every Christian is a Yahwehist extremist, but a lot of them are. So let's say it's only 10% of the Afghan evacuees that are Islamic extremists. I think that's very fair. If only 10% of them are extremists and 1,000, what they're reporting 1,000, it's probably really 5 or 10, but if 1,000 have escaped, then that means there's at least 100 Islamic extremist terrorists that have had a free ride into the United States of America. And if there really is 5,000, which would be my educated guess because these things are so far underreported, then we could have as many as 500 so far of the terrorists, of the Islamic extremists walking off our bases. And we both know that once you walk off that base, they'll never be seen again. They disappear into the woodwork, so to speak. They disappear into their cells. And let's just say that we will hear from these guys again. We will hear from these guys again. In a statement, a U.S. Department of Homeland Security spokesperson declined to comment on the figures. There's a real surprise. But said that people that have left the bases generally, quote unquote, had ties to the United States, like family members or friends, and resources to support themselves. Right, just like all the other immigrants come over and support themselves. None of them ever get welfare. None of them ever get food stamps. None of them ever get free health care. They're all very self-sustaining individuals. They think that we're really unsophisticated. They really think that we are unsophisticated. You got at least 100 violent Islamic terrorists walking off bases, and this genius says, don't worry, generally they have ties to the United States. And as I say that, leaving early could cost Afghan evacuees critical benefits like work permits and create a slew of legal problems down the road, given the complexities of the U.S. immigration system. I'm going to go out on a limb here, folks, and I'm going to say that if you're an Afghani terrorist and your mind is to perpetrate violence upon the United States of America, you're not too worried about not being able to get an expedited work permit. And you're probably not real worried about the legal problems down the road because it's 50-50. You might Allah Akbar and pull that cord. Right? It's a giant can of worms, said one ICE official who spoke on condition of anonymity. It's a giant can of worms and all the worms are crawling out. It could lead to years and years of terrible immigration status problems. We don't care about their immigration status problems. It could lead to them blowing stuff up. That's the problem I'm worried about. The benefits evacuees have received, I don't care about the benefits the evacuees have received. I really don't. And here's the one that really blows my mind. Tell me again how you don't think they're turning a blind eye. Listen to this. Immigration experts say that the Afghans who leave the bases are not breaking U.S. laws. And military officials have no legal authority to hold law-abiding Afghans against their will at any of the 8 locations hosting 5,300 who fled the Taliban on U.S. evacuation flights. Oh, great. Oh, great. I told you they're turning the blind eye. There's 53,000 of them. At 10%, that's 5,300 terrorists, and we're being conservative. Wow. Wow. More than 300 alone walked off of Fort Bliss in Texas, which is in El Paso. Wow. This is concerning, ladies and gentlemen. This is concerning, ladies and gentlemen. Afghans leaving a U.S. base can be a touchy issue in some parts of the country. Given media coverage of assaults by Afghans at Fort McCoy in Wisconsin and in Fort Bliss, of course it can be a touchy issue. The terrorists that you brought over here while you left Americans, I guarantee you, why did they brought 53,000 Afghans. Now, I'm for helping people to get out, but you brought out 53,000 Afghans where they were still Americans on the ground in Afghanistan that wanted the hell out. And you brought out 53 Afghans first? And don't get racial with me. Got nothing to do with race. Got something to do with Afghani and American. They should have made sure that every single American citizen that wanted out of Afghanistan was the hell out of Afghanistan before one Afghan, quote-unquote, refugee got on a plane. I don't understand this, folks. It's just craziness. And it's just more fire into the fodder. Just more. Wow. Two Trees sends us this. Where is the Biden executive order mandating the delivery system? You know, I know I can say vaccine, but it's really not a vaccine. And when we say things that aren't true, we put out an energy of error. So it's not a vaccine, folks. This is not a vaccine. In fact, none of them have ever been vaccines. They're carrier systems, delivery systems. So I'm going to call them what they are. Where is the Biden executive order mandating the delivery system? Does it exist? This is from John Rappaport. And he says he's talking about the executive order commanding all U.S. companies with more than 100 employees to mandate the COVID delivery system for their employees. I don't really like saying COVID either. Rappaport and his research team cannot find the executive order. They scoured the Federal Register, and it's not there. It's supposed to be published there by law. If it hasn't been published, then there is no mandate. And if there is no mandate, then obviously none of the companies are under any obligation to enforce it. OSHA, the occupational safety and health. See, I combined the two, safety and health, probably not a good idea. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration is apparently the federal agency responsible for framing a set of regulations for the so-called mandate. I know you think a mandate is when Barack and Michelle go out for a movie, and it is, but this is a different kind of mandate, including fines. But federal agencies only construct regulations after a law has been passed or after an executive order is issued. And if Rappaport and his research team is correct, there has been no executive order published. And we have a very odd situation, to say the least. Governors, lawyers have been threatening to sue because the executive order is unconstitutional and overrides states' powers. But if there's no presidential EO, then these cases are meaningless because there's no official mandate. Is the White House stalling? Do they realize the EO and the mandate will be overturned in court? Are they hoping to achieve corporate compliance without an official mandate? Are they bluffing? And are they bluffing, knowing that many people that own businesses will comply with them? Rappaport and his team have queried several lawyers. One suggested that so far in this situation, the federal government is bluffing. And that indeed would be extraordinary. Maybe the EO is forthcoming as we speak. Maybe Joe keeps breaking the crayons when he tries to sign it. I'm not sure. Possibly it's been published somewhere other than the Federal Register, but until it's visible and official, listen to these words, there is no private sector mandate. Unless speeches and press releases and media coverage suddenly all by themselves have the force of law, and that's probably not too far out of the question. We did a show last night that had a lot to do with Abraham Lincoln. And Colleen sends us an email that says, was Abraham Lincoln born in western North Carolina in Carolina County? This is the stuff I love that the cousins come up with. Was Abraham Lincoln born in western North Carolina? And as I look at this picture, there's a picture here of Lincoln sitting in a tent with a general. I don't think it's Grant. I can't tell who it is. And the question came to my mind was Abraham Lincoln even real? And there's another thing that bothers me. They've got an American flag being used as a tablecloth. They got there's all kinds of shit on top of it. That's really, really weird. That's really, really weird. But anyway, in 1899, less than 35 years after Lincoln's assassination by his wife, Mary, with a gun given to her by her drug dealer, who was John Wilkes Booth, she killed Abe because he was about to be exposed and shamed for homosexual conduct, and she didn't want to have to put up with it. And if you think that I'm wrong, then you tell me why. Mary Todd Lincoln was denied not once, not twice, not thrice, not four times, not five times, or not four times, but five times she was denied any widow stipend when she was the highest ranking person ever in the United States of America to have their spouse killed, and she thoroughly qualified for those benefits. Why didn't they give them to her? Maybe they weren't happy that she pulled the trigger that killed her husband. I'm just guessing. But there's a book called The Genesis of Lincoln in which he says he proves an interesting fact in the story of Abraham Lincoln. Quoting interviews and letters from widely scattered sources, this author makes a case that Lincoln's mother, Nancy Hanks, Tom Hanks, Nancy Hanks, is that some hanky-panky? She became pregnant as a servant girl in the home of Abraham Inlow, located on Acona Lufta, about 14 miles from Bryson City in what is now Swain County, North Carolina. Abraham Inlow, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, fathered 9 sons and 7 daughters. The 9th and surviving son was Wesley M. Inlow. So this guy has done a lot of research. It's a very, very long article, but it looks like it's possible that Abraham Lincoln was the son of a North Carolina merchant. That's interesting. And again, it comes down under the Zadokim persuasion. So yesterday the Matrix crashed, and I feel like Dr. Saladino feels that it was like a breath of fresh air. The machines got it back running after a few hours, but we shouldn't forget that feeling. And I'm asking you, like he asked us, to be honest. Did you go through withdrawals when you couldn't check your social media for 5 hours? Cynthia and I didn't even know that it went down. We had no idea because we were out in nature. We were enjoying one another's company. We had no idea that Facebook, OMG, had gone down. We had no idea that Instagram had ever gone down. So ask yourself, if you were jonesing because Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter were unavailable, are you addicted to the dopamine released by your visitations to those sites? And just like a drug or an alcohol addiction, social media has long-term negative impacts on our dopamine reward circuits. And this is a doctor writing this. Social media does have positives, but it's also a huge barrier between us, our friends and family, and between us and nature, and as a barrier that stops us from connecting with our inner selves. How many of us can actually stand to sit by ourselves for 15 minutes without looking at our phones? You ought to do that experiment. Can you sit 15 minutes without looking at your phone? Wow. Wow. In 2021, says Dr. Saladino, we need to remember more than ever. And remembering is about real food, real people, real feelings, and real life. Try putting away the phone and just go for a walk or be with people or be with yourself alone. Be fully present. And I guess for us that are older, we grew up without phones, so we didn't really care. But some of you that aren't older, you guys need to get it together. You really do. You need to get it together because y'all are crazy over this stuff. You gotta get your stuff together. Carmen sends us 2 great catches on Mount Rushmore. If you remember last night, we were talking about an 18-foot tall doorway. That would be 1 + 8 = 9. And a 38-foot gold-plated eagle. 3 + 8 = 11. So there's 9/11. Trippy stuff. Safe travel, says Carmen. Really good catch, Carmen. And it ties Mount Rushmore, which was a PSYOP, a false flag, and still is, to the 9/11 PSYOP and false flag. Good day. Good job, Carmen. I appreciate you sending that over to me. Christine Osgood. I sorry, didn't mean to say your last name. Christine sent us in the article last night about the creatures, the self-aware creatures with tentacles crawling around in the vaccines. Cynthia filled me in on more of this today, and I can't remember exactly what she said, but it's true, it's real. And there's another report of a mother that has received the delivery system, giving birth to a black-eyed baby. Folks, I'm telling you, I'm just going to go ahead now and say it. I'm not even going to ask it anymore. I'm just going to say it. I'm going to say that the black-eyed kids from a few years back, what the black-eyed kids were from a few years back, was a test run for the delivery system back then. And now it's being rolled out to everyone. Oh my. Oh my. And oh my. I was sent a picture, and I don't know if I had the bandwidth to show you it, but it's got Harvey Weinstein on one side, Joe Biden on the other. And the caption says, "If you don't let me stick this in you, you lose your job." We all know what Weinstein wanted to deliver into those ladies' systems. Biden wants to penetrate us just like Weinstein wanted to penetrate those women. Both of them want to do it against our will. We both should have choices to say no to both of these perverts. Whatever happened to my body, my choice? That's my question, cousins. That is my question, cousins. 3-inch Ape with a $2 tip says, I know it's not much, but I appreciate you and what you do, just giving back. Thank you, Ape. I really appreciate it. 3-inch Ape, always in the chat. We appreciate that so very much. I want to do one more. Ren Starr lets us know that Denver cops are being crippled. And what this is, it's a video that I'm not going to play, but it features a Denver police officer who is struggling to walk after getting the delivery system injected into him. So he has delivery system injury, he has delivery system paralyzation, and he is crippled after taking the Pfizer forced delivery system. Folks, if you're an attorney, I hope you get ready. I don't know if we're able to turn this Zadokim-dominated justice system around, but we can try. Thanks for that, Ren Star. I appreciate it. Wow. And you know this is going to happen more and more and more and more. And it's going to happen all over the country. And thank you to TCMDY for subscribing to the channel. Thank you to HELYST, I don't know how to say these things, for subscribing to the channel. We appreciate it very much. What did Cynthia send me? She sent me the "let me stick this in you or you lose your job" meme. That is priceless, ladies and gentlemen. And there's really no difference. And since we're talking a little bit about this tonight, we'll close with another one from Colleen. And Colleen titles this "Huge Contradiction." So we're told in Genesis that man, real humans, she says, were capped off at living 120 years after the flood. You remember that. I will not always strive with man, but only 120 years. But Terah lived 275 years, they tell us. Abraham lived 175 years. I thought that real humans, I see where she's going with this, I thought humans were capped off at 120. But yet Terah and Abraham lived 175 years. Terah, 275. Supposedly, the Jews came out of Abraham. And their script says that the Jesus character told the religious leaders that claimed descent from their father Abraham that they were the children of the devil. That's in John 8:44. She's right. Could they be aliens? Yes, they could be aliens. They got people looking up to the heavens for aliens, and the aliens have always been here. Wow. Or is the script a fairy tale? Are we in a giant virtual reality game? Are we like Dorothy in the land of Oz? That meaning everything being controlled behind a curtain, just like Yahweh behind the curtain in the temple. Oh, that's great, because there is a curtain in the temple, causing everyone to fear him. And then we wake up like Dorothy did, and we come back to the real earth. Just some thoughts. Those are great thoughts right there, Colleen. I'm going to keep that one, because that might be the seed of a show coming up. Oh, Pajama 66. It's factual harassment. I love it. Sexual harassment and factual harassment. That is some quality stuff. Two Tree says his feed may be off. No, you're good. You're good. Again, I now have the ability to block you on Rockfin. Behave or you'll get blocked. 3-Inch Ape says that when he was a cop a long time ago, he had a coworker who took a flu vaccine and became crippled afterwards. Never took another vaccine again after that. I saw for myself. That is very, very smart, 3-Inch Ape. Folks, don't ever get any flu shots. Don't ever get any of that stuff anymore. Lone Gunman says that, as we move into our subject tonight, that some people say it's an ancient tree stump. Some people say it's a giant's foot. We'll cover both of this. And a new one, a giant fungus. Officially, it's lava hardened into hexagonal columns. Ha, ha, ha. We're talking about the Devil's Tower. Annie D says that, what does she say? It looks like A, cone or mound or volcano popped its top. B, a giant-ass tree trunk stump. C, a unique rock formation caused by weather. Okay. I have no idea what it could be and can't wait to hear Jeffrey's take on it, says Karen. Roxanne says she and her hubby went to South Dakota this summer and did all the things. We did go to Mount Rushmore and really only spent an hour there. We went to Crazy Horse and it was an awesome experience. Spent several hours. The museum there is great, and there were native presentations and interactive programs. Interesting. We did not go to Crazy Horse. She didn't go to Rapid City. They stayed in the Black Hills. She made a new friend, a lovely Lakota woman. That's awesome. That really is awesome. Thank you, Tony Z. Thumbs up. Indigenous medicine men say John Peters have predicted the end of America as we know it for years. Okie dokie. I think that brings us up to date. A lot of people saying hi. I am always going to keep broadcasting from the road, Spicy. I will keep my appointed rounds. I will do it. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right into here we go again with the vegans. Look, if you want to be a soy boy, go ahead and do it. Just don't judge other people that want to eat real human food. That's all we're saying. Joe Sapien says that to him, it looks like a tree stump. Carmen says looks like a tree stump. I agree. So let's go ahead and take a look at our stupendous, tremendous, amazing, awesome, and I'll be frank with you, put together at the last minute presentation. Now, the whole thing wasn't put together at the last minute. The ideas have been there, but it was put together in about an hour and a half because, we're doing the thing that we're doing here, ladies and gentlemen. And we're on the road, and we got here, and boom, here we go. All right, so let's go ahead and start the presentation. Let me remind you, because it's so important, that the broadcast is brought to you by Nanosoma and Focus Life Force Energy. Nanosoma, if you've had the delivery system, if you got talked into getting the delivery system, you've got to get the Nanosoma. Nanosoma is not going to cure it. Nanosoma is not going to heal it, but it does go into your body down to the cellular level, and it optimizes and empowers your body to close all the cell receptacles that are supposed to be closed, to open all the cell receptacles that are supposed to be open, and it optimizes and empowers your body to do what your body should do and dump all of that junk out of your system. So get the Nanosoma, get it now, and use it now. It's at jeffreydaugherty.com. Come down under the videos and click on the Nanosoma button. Focus Life Force Energy sends a high consciousness field right to your home or to your phone. It also renders the EMFs from your various devices inert, and in many cases makes it into a benevolent frequency, and that's amazing. But if you want to have a high consciousness field around you 24/7, 365, go to jeffreydaugherty.com, come down under the videos, click on the button that says FLFE, Focus Life Force Energy. I promise you, you will be glad that you did. All right, let's go ahead now and jump into our presentation tonight. We're going to talk about the Devil's Tower. What the heck is it, ladies and gentlemen? What the heck is it? Well, let's see. It is not what they say it is, and it's probably not what you have thought it is. Let's see. I said let's see. All right. What they say it is. Let me just read this to you from the official documentation that I got from the Devil's Tower. It says that about 50 million years ago, molten magma was forced into sedimentary rock above, and it cooled underground. As it cooled, it contracted and fractured into columns. And earlier, lava formed the Little Missouri Buttes. Okay. Sorry, I'm having trouble seeing them a little bit in the dark here. And the writing's rather small. And over millions of years, erosion of the sedimentary rock exposed the Devil's Tower, and I can't read the rest of it. Basically, what they're saying is 50 years ago, molten magma got into sedimentary rock, and it cooled underground, and it happened to fracture into these perfect columns, and after more millions of years of erosion of the sedimentary rock, voila, here was the Devil's Tower. Do you ever hear of a thing called Occam's razor that says the simplest explanation is generally the right one? That's a lot of millions of years. That's a lot of ifs. And I don't know about you, but I am not satisfied with that explanation. I, Jeffery Daugherty, am not satisfied with that explanation. That's why I came all the way up here to South Dakota, so I could look at it myself. I could take pictures of it myself, and we could figure it out together and suggest some possibilities, because I'm not here to give you answers. I'm here to help you ask questions and question answers. So they say that all 1,267 feet of it, with a top area of 1.5 acres, a diameter of the base of 1,000 feet, all of that is from erosion. The wind got to blow a long time. The rain got to fall a long time for that much erosion to take place. I don't know about that explanation. I don't know about that explanation. And a funny thing happened on the way to Devil's Tower. We stopped at a rest area. And out in front of this rest area was this. This is a cross-section of a piece of petrified wood. And when you get a chance, I want you to go on Google Earth, and I want you to look at the top of the Devil's Tower. Look at the top of Devil's Tower. And remember this photo that you saw. I've done it, and it literally made my jaw drop because, cousins, it looks exactly the same. And I'll make another confession here. I had to go really bad. I had to go really bad. So I just went real fast into the bathroom. I didn't even notice this thing. It wasn't until Cynthia said, "Hey, look at this." Because Cynthia was with me when we looked at the top of the Devil's Tower. And she said, "Look at that." And I'm like, oh, let me go to the car and get my phone. I had my gun, but I didn't have my phone. So I went to the car, the truck. Oh, I didn't see my shadow over here. Me and my shadow right over here. You see it right down there in the bottom right. That's me and my shadow. Folks, look at the top of Devil's Tower and come back and look at this. That's all I'm saying. Thanks to Cynthia for being, having her eyes peeled and being on the ball when I was not. So, the Devil's Tower was named the Devil's Tower by a fellow named Richard Dodge, who was a colonel in the U.S. Army, and he named it in 1875. They were out there leading a military expedition looking for gold in the Black Hills, because of course they were. And they saw the tower, and they named it the Devil's Tower. Weird name, right? Why the heck would they name it the Devil's Tower? That's really, really, really odd to me that they would name it Devil's Tower. And I'm just going to go back and look at the chat real quickly to see if anybody's holding up with stuff. Joe Sapien says, wait a minute, Afghans are getting benefits? Of course they are, Joe. Of course they are. What's in the cargo ships holding off the coast? You got to show me some receipts for ships holding off the coast. Time to keep our heads on swivel, says Spicy Chai. Absolutely. It is time to keep our heads on swivels. They brought home everybody except for the Americans. It makes TJ's blood boil. Mine too, ladies and gentlemen. Steve Borg says it's time to take this communist government down. I agree with you 100%. The Australian people are homeless, and the Afghanis get housing as soon as they get there, reports Carmen. Terrible, terrible thing. Terrible, terrible thing. It just makes no sense whatsoever. Cynthia reports that one of the Kansas congresspeople voted for gun confiscation. Go ahead, Congressman. Go ahead and try that. See how that works out for you. See how that works out for you. Joe ate the crayon, says Steve Borg. Now I know I wasn't signed. Joe, thank you so much for your comments. They're really good. Steve Borg, forget wax in the ears. Biden has wax for brains. Yeah. Tracy Dyer says that Abraham Lincoln is a Springsteen. She's correct. We proved that a few weeks ago. Yeah, Tracy didn't know that Facebook was down either. Good. I'm so glad to hear that there's people out there that just don't care. GERN, Global Enlightenment Radio Network says, wow, you're right. Good eyes. Cynthia nailed that one. And yeah, it's true. Now back to our great presentation, folks. Dodge said that he called the mountain the Devil's Tower because an Indian who was a guide in his group, the Indian told him that his tribe called it the Bad God's Tower. Think about that for a minute. The Indian guide told Colonel Dodge, and it's interesting that his name is Dodge, but at any rate, the Indian told Colonel Dodge, we call that Bad God's Tower. Interesting. So why does Dodge change it from Bad God's Tower to Devil's Tower? Why can't you just call it Bad God's Tower or Fallen God's Tower? He's got to change it to Devil. Could that be a message, even if the colonel didn't know there was a message, that the person that you think is the God of the Bible might really be the devil, especially after you hear why the natives call this Bad God's Tower. I'm going to give you some great enlightenment tonight, or I'm going to make it available to you. I can't give you enlightenment, but I can make enlightenment available to you. And let's see if you want to pick up the ball and run with it. So, what do the natives say about the Devil's Tower? And they don't call it that. We'll get into that right away. The natives call it the Bear's Lodge. The Bear's Lodge. And they call it that because there's a very interesting story that goes along with it. I'm going to read you that story real quickly. And what happened is that there were 8 children. And we have to think about why was there 8? Red, yellow, black, white. That's 4 races. Why would there be 8 children? We'll just put that one out there for you. 8 children were playing. 7 sisters and their brothers. 7 sisters and their brother. So there's 7 girls and 1 guy. 7 females and 1 male. 7 brothers and 1 sister. I think there's some hidden meaning in here. You can help discern this with me. Suddenly, the boy was struck dumb, meaning he couldn't speak. He trembled, and he began to run upon his hands and his feet. His fingers became claws, and his body was covered with fur. Directly, there was a bear where the boy had been. So the boy turned into a bear. This is really interesting. The boy turns into a bear. So he was a bear wolf. Turned into a bear. Interesting. The sisters were terrified. Oh, I'm starting to get it. The sisters were terrified, and they ran, and the bear chased after them. They came to the stump of a great tree. They ran to the stump of a great tree, which was the tower. They ran to the stump of a great tree. And by the way, Cynthia grabbed this document at the tower. I didn't, so another kudos for Cynthia. They ran to the stump of a great tree, and the tree spoke to them. The tree spoke to them. Oh, this is full of lessons. It bade them to climb upon it. And as they did so, it began to rise into the air, or at least the girls began to rise into the air. The bear came to kill them, but they were just beyond the bear's reach. The bear reared against the tree and scored the bark all around with its claws. The 7 sisters were born into the sky, and they became the stars of the Pleiades. Wow. So the Indians call it Bear Lodge. That is a Kiowa, or Kiowa, I'm not sure how to say it, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. That is a Kiowa legend. And Bear Lodge is one of the many Indian names for the tower. Very, very interesting. Let's talk about that a little bit. So there was 7 ladies and a boy, 7 girls and a boy. The boy turns into a bear. Really interesting. Really interesting. And so the girls run to this big tree, and the tree speaks to them. And it's so funny because just over the last maybe 2-3 weeks, maybe 2-3 months, we've said many times on this broadcast that we could actually talk to trees, talk to nature. Do you know that trees communicate? It's the original wood-wide network. You see what I did with that? It's the wood-wide network. Trees talk to each other. They send information to each other. And I'll give you a clue. Trees will talk to you too, if you will listen. Trees will talk to you if you will listen. Nature will talk to you if you will listen. This is one of the most damnable things about Christianity. Christianity teaches us that we are the Lord over nature. We are to dominate nature. We are the kings of nature. They teach us that we're above nature. They teach us that we are nature's caretaker. They teach us that we're nature's superior. We're not part of nature. We're over nature. And as a result, we never stop to listen to nature. Most of the trees that you see, especially big trees, they've been here a lot longer than you have. Think of the things that these trees have seen. Think of the things that these trees have heard. The bark of the tree's construction, it can receive vibration. And the vibrations are stored within that tree. Why do you think tree huggers come under such derision? I'm telling you, if you hug a tree, you're very likely to get some information from that tree. And you might get bit by an ant too, so just be careful. Before you hug a tree, make sure it's clear of ants that may bite you. But folks, and don't hug the sap, that can ruin your shirt. Just take a look. But I do this now. Whenever I'm out, I consciously do this. Whenever I'm out and about, I will ask nature, do you have any messages for me? If I see a tree, and I come in close proximity to a tree, I will touch that tree and see if I can pick up a vibration. I'll ask that tree, do you have a message for me? Am I crazy? Probably, but not for that reason. It's crazy not to listen to nature. But the Bible has got us so discombobulated, that all we want to do is dominate nature. Cynthia was heartbroken because next door to us, there was, for the longest time, there's been a vacant lot there with beautiful trees. And there was this great big, I forget what kind of tree it was, but a great big beautiful tree, an old tree. What kind of tree was it, Cynthia?
Oak.
It was a great oak tree. And Cynthia literally almost cried when the new people, they're building their house now, they cut it down. She almost cried that they cut it down. What a source of wisdom. And what a picture of the foolishness of human minds that we are destroying such ancient creatures. And they really are creatures. So part of this story is listen to trees. And another part of the story I have to ask, and we'll talk about it later on in the presentation, it's about a great tree. I remember another great tree in the book of Genesis that spoke. Oh no, Jeff, it was the serpent that spoke, was it? They want you to believe the serpent spoke, but was it really the tree that spoke, or did they both speak? These are the kind of questions that we begin to ask ourselves. These are the kind of questions that the unindoctrinated ask themselves. These are the kind of questions that lead to enlightenment. Did the tree of life and of the knowledge of good and evil, did that tree speak? Did that tree convey information? And was the serpent giving contrary information, contradictory information? Or is it all a fairy tale? We know it's all a fairy tale, but still, it might behoove you to consider talking to some trees, listening to some nature, hugging trees. Now, don't carry it too far. Just hug the tree. No more than that. We don't want any foolishness. Forget the knot holes. Leave them alone. Just hug the tree. Listen to the tree. No petting the tree, no fondling the tree. Just hug it. This is interesting stuff. And we are just getting started. But I am going to take a break right now. And while I do, since we're talking about things mystical, we're talking about things magical, and we're going to get even more into it. While I take a little break, I would encourage you to enjoy this. And I think you'll catch the meaning as you enjoy it.
Through the night, and when she loved to love her, takes to the sky like a bird is gliding. Who will be her lover? While your life you've never seen, woman, taken by the wind. Would you stay if she promised you ever? Will you ever win? She is like a cat in the dark, and then she is the darkness. She was alive like a fine skylark, and when the sky is starlit, by your life you've never seen a woman taken by the wind. Would you stay if she promised you ever? Will you ever win? Will you ever win? Through the night, and when she loved to love her, she was alive like a bird of flight. who will be your lover. All your life you've never seen a woman taken by the wind. Would you say if she promised you heaven? Will you ever win? Will you ever win? Taken by the skyline. Taken by the skyline. Taken by the skyline.
And welcome back to Late Night in the Heartland. I'm your host, Jeffery Daugherty. And, of course, that was the beautiful and talented Stevie Nicks with Rhiannon. And if you notice at the very end, folks, it was talking about, have you ever seen a woman taken by the wind? And then it went into, at the very end there, taken by the sky. And, of course, as we're listening to the program tonight, as you're listening, we just heard a story about women, girls, taken by the sky. Very interesting. Very interesting. What is this telling us about? What is it telling us about women, girls being taken into the sky from the great tree? They become the Pleiades and they shine back down wisdom and understanding to us. We'll get into that as we move on. And before we do, I want to remind you that the EMP Shield will help you protect your home, protect your car, and protect your life. You can go to empshield.com, use the coupon code UNINDOCTRINATE for $50 off. EMP Shield, protect your home, protect your car, protect your life. And folks, precious metals have been real money for 5,000 years. Cynthia and I believe that silver is going to boom. We are investing in silver, but that's just us. We are not financial advisors. But if you do want to buy some precious metals, go to jeffreydaugherty.com, come under the videos, click on the Mint Builder button, and you'll get the best price guaranteed on precious metals anywhere. And your mailman will get a little stipend to help him keep making his rounds. EMP Shield to protect your home, your phone, your car, and your life. And Mint Builder, precious metals, have a 5,000-year track record of being real wealth. And let's get back to it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get back to it. All right. The natives call it Bear's Lodge. Fascinating, isn't it? And it is a very interesting story. And it's still flying around in my head. And as we go on tonight, we'll get more into it. Bear's Lodge. But the bear never got up there, so it's not a lodge for the bear. Maybe it's a lodge from the bear. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Why do some natives call it Bad God's Tower, while other natives say it's a place of refuge? How can it be Bad God's Tower and a place of refuge at the same time? That doesn't seem to make sense, does it? It seems to be contradictory. It seems to be mutually exclusive. Why do the same people call it Bad God's Tower and call it a place of refuge? Because it obviously is not the bear's lodge. The bear ain't staying there. The bear was trying to get up there, couldn't do it. So it's not the bear's lodge. They don't mean it's the bear's lodge. They mean it's a lodge from the bear. It's a place of protection from the bear. The bear was trying to kill him. The tree spoke to them. And if you'll allow me a little bit of extrapolation, The tree spoke to them and spoke to them words of wisdom and knowledge that allowed them to complete their ascension to another life, as symbolized by the Pleiades. It's getting deep in here, folks. It's getting deep in here, folks. We get deep all the time. And this is one of those times that we get deep. Bad God's Tower and a place of refuge. I find this fascinating. So, let's think about this. What if the kids were running from the bad God? Oh, this makes it even more cray-cray, ladies and gentlemen. It wasn't a bear at first, it was just a boy. Just a boy. What if the God of the Bible used to be just like us? What if God were one of us? Just another slob on the bus. I know it didn't say that. I just thought it'd be fun to throw it in. What if the God of the Bible was one of us at one time? What if the God of the Bible was just human at one time? What if the God of the Bible isn't divinity at all, but just a dishonest time traveler? Or a parasite from another dimension? Wow. I'm reminded of Abram looking up to the stars, and God of the Bible talks to him. Did God of the Bible come out of a portal? I don't know. But what if the kids were running from the bad God? They were running from the bear. What if the bear was the bad God? What if the bad God was a bear? That's not me. That's Barkley. Have no fear. We might have to do the doggy Heimlich. She's over there like she's going to choke. But anyway. What if the kids were running from the bad God, and the tree gave them refuge from the bear? What if the bad God and the bear are the same? And what if the bad God and the bear are the God of the Bible? Oh, Jeff, you're just talking craziness now. You're just talking craziness now, Jeff. Am I? Let's see what is going on in the Rockfin chat right now. Let's see what's going on in the Rockfin chat right now. Wow, my image is clear and the top is blurry. Okay, Tony. My Google Earth image isn't blurry. Oh, some of you have looked up on Google Earth. Some of you have looked up on Google Earth. It looks exactly the same, doesn't it, ladies and gentlemen? It looks exactly the same, doesn't it, ladies and gentlemen? Boom. And I wonder why Google Earth would be blurry. Because they don't want you to see that the top of the Devil's Tower, so-called, looks exactly like the cross-section of that petrified tree. Why? Because they're both petrified trees. And that doesn't mean they're afraid. That means, you know, what petrified is. But what if the kids were running from the bad God? And the tree gave them refuge from the bear. And what if the bad God and the bear were the same thing? And what if the bad God and the bear is the God of the Bible? Oh, Jeff, you're so crazy. Am I really? Am I really? If the kids were running from the bad God, and if the tree gave them sanctuary from the bear, then it's a tree which was a lodge from the bad God. It's a tree which was a lodge from the bear. So when they call it the bear's lodge, what they're saying is, this is the place of protection from the bear. And I am putting out the question, is the bad God the bear? And what if it's the God of the Bible? Jeff, why do you say that? Well, as you'll see, the God of the Bible clearly identifies and confesses himself to being bad. And he also calls himself a bear. And he also talks about chasing children. Yeah, it's there. Let's keep going. And then the tree transferred them into heaven. It sounds like it was a tower to heaven. And they were climbing the stairway to heaven. Whoa. Where have we heard that before? Where have we heard about a tower that went into the heavens? Where have we heard of that before? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cousins of all ages, 3-inch apes, mind is blown again. Carmen says, wow. Whoa. I like it when minds get blown. I would say something, but I won't because Cynthia wouldn't like it. Where have we heard of this before? Well, let me read you something from your script. You call it the scripture, but it's really your script. Because it's the script that keeps you locked into the fear and guilt, blood magic, trauma-based, mind control matrix that is Christianity. And here we are in 2021, October the 5th. Can you believe it's already October the 5th? It is already October the 5th, 2021. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, it's a 2-day. Today is 2-day. Oh, that's funny. But anyway, where was I going with this? Here we are, October 5, 2021. Arguably, more people than ever are desiring the day of the Lord. We want the day of the Lord. Not us, but all the Christians do. And my Christian friends, you've never even heard of Amos before. You didn't even know that was a book in the Bible. But this guy named Amos, he's a minor prophet. And he writes in Amos 5, 18 through 20, he says the same things. Or he says these things, pardon me. He says, woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord. Wait a second now. We're supposed to pray for the day of the Lord. Even so, come quickly, Lord Jesus. That's the last verse in Revelation. Oh, that's the last verse in the whole New Testament. Isn't that interesting? So, let me just double check that. I want to make sure that I'm not giving you bad information. I'm pretty sure that's the last verse in the New Testament. And let's see if I'm right. Does it say, even so, come quickly, Lord Jesus? There's a joke there too, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to just leave it alone. I'm just going to leave it alone. We're trying to keep this a respectable program. Boom! It's the next to last verse in the Bible. He which testifieth these things saith, surely I come quickly. More evidence that Jesus suffered from erectile dysfunction. He said it right there. He says, I come quickly. That's a little problem that Jesus had. He come quickly, and it's been 2,000 years and he's never come again yet. I call that a little problem of erectile dysfunction, some type of dysfunction. But anyway, surely I come quickly. Amen. Even so, come Lord Jesus. Oh, that's just full of joke material, but we're going to move on. All you Christians are desiring the day of the Lord. You think it's going to be a good thing for you. You think it's going to be a wonderful thing for you. You think it's going to be a happy thing for you. But you don't understand. You read the book, but you don't see it. The Jesus character comes back, and he kills almost everybody. There's 12 million Jews. He kills all but 144,000 of them. There's 8 billion people on the planet. All but 500 million get killed. And Jesus is the one that kills them. I've proven this to you over and over. There's a reason why he's wearing a garment stained with blood. Because he has been killing lots of people. And it says in the original language, he's covered by the arterial spurts of blood by those he has slain. That's what the Greek says. Just because you haven't read it, don't get mad at me. You're praying for the day of the Lord. I'm telling you, it's a communist takeover. I've proven it to you before. I'll prove it to you again. They're coming back to kill all of us. That's why the honorable Jews are our natural allies. Because there's 12 million of them. They're going to wean them down to 144,000. That means a lot of honorable Jews are going to get killed. Come over to our team. We'll work together. We'll defeat this enemy. And then we'll go our separate ways again after that. 8 billion of us, and he's going to drop it down to 500 million. We're natural allies. We need to work together. But this verse clearly says, this portion of your script clearly says, woe, woe, woe. Woe is bad. Woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord. Woe unto you, Christians. Woe unto you that say you're not Jews but are. Woe unto you, YouTube prophets that are afraid to debate and avoid me like the plague. Woe unto you, Christians that listen to these people. Woe unto you, because all you're talking about is the day of the Lord. Prophecy, 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 prophecy. And I've also proven to you that the prophets in the Bible are jugglers, singers, and clowns. And guess what? So are the prophets today, jugglers and clowns. That's what the word means. I'm sorry if you don't like the original languages. I'm really not sorry, but that's what it means. And they've got you desiring the day of the Lord. They've got you so demented in your brain that you're desiring the day of your own demise. You are in a blood magic cult. They're about to give you, you're not going to get any Kool-Aid. You're just going to get killed. At least the people at Jonestown got some Kool-Aid. You don't even get no Kool-Aid. No Kool-Aid for you. You just get the edge of the sword. Boom, you're dead. Not even any Kool-Aid. I don't get it. Woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord. To what end is it for you? How's it going to end up for you? You think you're going to wind up kicking up gold dust on Glory Avenue. You think you're going to be sitting on a cloud playing a harp. You think you're going to be shaking St. Peter's hand and going in through the pearly gates. Oh no, my friend. You forgot about Amos. Amos says, woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord. To what end is it for you? You act like it's going to be good for you. And you are sold, most of you are sold on Christianity because of prophecy. And they're telling you that the day of the Lord is darkness, not light. It can't be said with any more clarity. It cannot be expressed any clearer than that. The day of the Lord, the day you're praying for, the day you're hoping for, is a day of darkness and not light for you that are desiring the day of the Lord. It's not the sinners that desire the day of the Lord. It's you, Christians, that desire the day of the Lord. Woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord. Look at that. Woe unto who? Woe unto you. You who? Those that desire the day of the Lord. Who desires the day of the Lord? You Christians. You think it's going to be good for you, but what's the real end of it? Darkness and not light. If a man ran from a lion and a bear met him, into the house and leaned his hand on the wall and a serpent bit him, listen to this poor guy. He's running away from a lion. And it just so happens that the Jesus character calls himself the Lion of the tribe of Judah. This guy is running away from a lion. And he runs into a bear. And then another guy or another time, the man's running from a lion, like the Lion of the tribe of Judah, runs into a house and leans against the wall because he got away, and he gets bit by a deadly serpent. That's Amos 5:18 and 20. Shall not, and this is Amos wrapping it up, Shall not the day of the Lord be darkness and not light, even very dark and no brightness in it? That right there, in and of itself, should be enough for you to never, ever, for you to leave Christianity and never go back. The very thing that's got most of you in it is a con. It's a sham. It's a travesty. It's a travesty-mockery. You think it's going to be a great day, and it's just the day that you get killed. I didn't say these words. Amos said these words. The day of the Lord is darkness, not light. The day of the Lord is darkness, not light. And then he even puts an emphasis on it. Says it's very dark, and there's no brightness in it. It's like some poor Slav fleeing a lion, like the Lion of the tribe of Judah, run into a bear, going into the house, getting bit by a snake. They told you 3 times that you're going to die. And yet you don't like me because I tell you the truth. You'd rather stay in a lie than be set free. I don't get it. And then comes Daniel, chapter 7, verse number 5. Think about the bear story. Think about the bear story that the Kiowa tell. And I beheld another beast, a second beast, like a bear. This one looked like a bear. It raised itself up on one side, and it had ribs in its mouth, like the rib that got taken out of Adam to make Eve in the story. And they said thus unto this bear, Arise, devour much flesh. What is Jesus going to do? What's that Jesus character going to do when he comes back? He's going to kill, he's going to devour most of the flesh that lives on planet Earth. That lives on the Earth plane. It's a callback to ribs, which calls us back to creation. Devouring much flesh is a prequel back to the book of Revelation, where Jesus will do just that. And it's in Daniel chapter 7, verse 5. And look, there's the bear, just like in the Kiowa story. But wait, there's more. The God of the Bible confesses that he's a bear. He confesses that he's a bear. There was a Hollywood movie some years ago called The Bad News Bears. Jesus, the Lord, they are the bad news bears. They are the bad news bears. And don't take my word for it. Take the Lord's word for it. Yet, I am the Lord thy God. Yet, I am the Lord thy God. And I'm going to make you look this one up. Just put part of this, any part you want, any part of this, just put it into your browser, and it'll pull up the scripture for you. It'll pull it up out of your script. I'm going to make you do it. Mainly because I forgot to put the reference down. But I know what it is, but I want you to look it up. I am the Lord thy God. There's no doubt who's speaking here. I am the Lord your God. Who's speaking? The Lord. Who's the Lord? That's the God of the Bible. He says, I will meet them as a what? A bear. A bear bereaved of her whelps. I will meet them as a bear. Just like those 6 sisters got met by a bear. And I will rend the caul of their heart, meaning he will eat their heart. He will devour them like a lion, like the Lion of the tribe of Judah. The wild beast shall tear them. Remember we saw that one of the wild beasts looked like a bear? Had ribs in his mouth? Folks, this is called scripture study. This is called linking it up together. This is called decoding the fear and guilt, blood magic, trauma-based mind control matrix. Let's take a look in the chat real quickly and see what questions we got going here. Let's see. That's why they have all these zombie movies getting us prepared. Very good point by 3-inch Ape. Let me turn off the scrolling and see if I can pick out some gems here. Live by the eat the flesh, die by the flesh. I ain't having that. Good for you, Joe. Roxanne, thank you for the $5 tip. I appreciate it very much. I appreciate it very much. Carmen says, I don't even know how to play a harp. That's funny stuff. Maybe he was never real, and that's why she isn't getting anything. Well, of course he was never real. Profs equals a to-do list. Well stated, Roxanne. I appreciate it. Thanks, Jeff. You get more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. Yeah, I know, but I'm a vinegar kind of guy. I'm a vinegar kind of guy. I'm a vinegar kind of guy. I like the cut of your jib, Jeffrey. I think the same way. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Wow, this is good stuff. This is really good stuff. You know what else is good stuff? LifeWave. If you want to activate your stem cells, elevate and regenerate them, don't go getting super expensive stem cells injected into you and you're not sure where they came from. Did they come from a person that's had the delivery system? You probably don't want those. Doesn't it make more sense to elevate, activate, and regenerate your own stem cells? LifeWave will help you do so. Go to jeffreydaugherty.com, come under the videos, click on the LifeWave button, or just go straight to LifeWave, go straight to lifewave.com/unindoctrinate. Good stuff from good people. Good stuff from good people. The Bad Bear God, the Bad News Bears, Jesus and his father. Lion of the tribe of Judah, the bear that the Lord says he is. So is this the bear that those Kiowa girls had to run from? And this is the bear that couldn't get up the tower, and the bear was so wroth that he clawed the tower to pieces as much as he could. Very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. I say, based upon the evidence, that the Lord is the Bad Bear God. The God of the Bible is the Bad Bear God. He confessed to it. He said, I'm the bear. He even bragged about it. He even brags about it. The God of the Bible is the Bad Bear God. According to his own confession, according to his own bragging about it. Let's talk a minute about the Tower of Babel. I know it seems like a really crazy segue to you. But let's talk for a minute about the Tower of Babel. And you might have to go back, you might have to go to Odyssey and look through it's Odyssey, the Christian Whistleblower channel. If you look through that, you can find the videos that I've done on the Tower of Babel. And in those videos, you will see that I have broken down the script just by the script alone. And it proves that the Tower of Babel is exactly the opposite of what you think it was. You are taught that the Tower of Babel is about a rebellious people coming against a righteous God. That is 100% inverted. The story of the Tower of Babel is about people who realize that they have sold out their inheritance. This goes back to yesterday. It's awesome. It's a story about people that have realized that they sold out their original inheritance and that they are deciding to return to their original gods and leave this goat herder god, Yahweh, who's the God of the Bible. And he's so afraid that they're coming to enlightenment that he goes down and he destroys them. So the Tower of Babel story is not about a rebellious people coming against a righteous God. The Tower of Babel story is really about a brave people rebelling against a bad God. You could say that the Tower of Babel story is very much like 6 sisters running from a bad god bear and coming to the tower as a place of refuge. And folks, even if you believe that that's a real story, it's obviously just a fairy tale. But even if you believe the text is real, it's not. But it is written sometimes to teach you things and show you things and disclose you things. When it says it was a tower unto the heavens, if you look in the original Hebrew, it doesn't mean that it was super tall and went all the way to heaven. It said it is a tower, the top of which was devoted to the heavens. So if you are going to believe the text, you got to believe that there was some type of worship or some type of iconic imagery up on the top of that tower that was dedicated to the heavens. It wasn't so tall that it went to the heavens. It was dedicated into the heavens. All you have to do is look in the Hebrew to find it out. And it's so interesting. I didn't think about this until just now. If you look at the top of the Bear's Lodge, the tower, the Devil's Tower so-called, if you look at the top of it, it looks exactly like the top of that petrified tree. And we talked yesterday, I think, about deism. And deism declares that the real word of the divine is shown to us in nature. The real word of the divine is shown to us in creation. So from a deist perspective, we would be completely consistent in saying that the top of the Devil's Tower is dedicated unto nature and creation, because it shows us on the top of it, if we look at the top of it with an objective eye, without any preconceived notions, it's a tree. It's a tree that has communicated knowledge to people, has communicated safety to people, and has been a lodge against a bad god. And it's a tree that has provided information that allows people to translate themselves into the next dimension. Oh, I guess this is a good time as any to talk about it. Why all the ET, UFO imagery and stuff having to do with the Devil's Tower? You know, most of you know the Devil's Tower from Close Encounters of the Third Kind, right? The aliens coming, do, right? You remember all that. Richard Dreyfuss, Jacques Vallée, all of that stuff. Now, we cannot report seeing any aliens, any UFOs at Devil's Tower, but I can report very positive energy. So can Cynthia. Very, very interesting. Very fascinating. Why is it associated with UFOs and ETs when the ancient wisdom of the Kiowa tell us that it's about the Pleiades, and it's about nature instructing us on how to become bright lights? And at the end of the day, don't we all want to be bright lights? At the end of the day, don't we all want to shine light and wisdom upon the world? Don't we all want to do that? And Roseanne Roxanne, $5 tip on Rockfin. Roxanne on Rockfin. I love it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm sorry to say the thing that you hear all the time and probably don't want to hear anymore. Wow. Very, very interesting, folks. Very, very interesting. That was a long time ago, Jeff. Does the younger generation even know that movie? No. That's okay. They can go look it up. Is the ET UFO application to the Devil's Tower to distract people from thinking about it from the original native lore of it's a divine place where you learn to go to the heavens? That's why they made that movie. To corrupt the imagery, to corrupt the lore regarding this divine place. And was it the Tower of Babel? Was it a Tower of Babel? I don't know. I'm about to get into John from Tulsa's territory here in just a minute, I'm afraid. But let's keep going. Let's keep going. It's the same story. The Tower of Babel story is the same story as the Kiowa legend. Righteous people running from a bear, which is the Bible God, going to a tower and learning knowledge that translates them into the heavens. It's the same exact story. I find that absolutely fascinating. So, I have to ask the question, is it possible that the so-called Devil's Tower, the Bear's Lodge, is it possible that the Bear's Lodge was the Tower of Babel listed in the Bible? Which expands us to another question. Is it possible that the Bible could have taken place in North America? I know that Tracy Dyer has sent me stuff in the past suggesting and thinking and asking about things of this nature. Ooh, what is Roxanne saying? What is Roxanne saying? The energy there is vibrant and tangible. I concur. Even my hubby, who isn't really tuned in, could feel it. I agree with you, Roxanne. It's like, I mean, yeah, it's really good stuff. It's really good stuff. I will debate Jeff any day about Christianity. Well, if you got more than 6 followers, send me an email, assuming you know how to type. Or you could just nut up and call me when I open the phones. Your choice. But if you got 8 followers, I'm not going to waste my time debating you. It's just that simple. I'm not going to waste my time debating you unless you've got a lot of followers that I might be able to speak some truth to. And you've made your point in the chat room. If you don't want to get blocked, be courteous and nut up and call me when I open the phone lines. Exactly, like 3-inch Ape says, I dare you. And I do, but you won't because you don't have the stones, because none of you Christians do. Not one yet has done it. And if you don't stop blazing, you are going to be blocked. I've tried to be nice to you. I've tried to be nice to you. Now you either stop, call in, or be blocked. It's up to you. Is it possible, though, that the Bible could have happened in North America? I'm just asking the question. The story of the Bear's Lodge and the story of the Tower of Babel, exactly the same story, if you look at them in the original languages. And here's something that I was sent from, I can't remember who, but since we explore all the options on this program, somebody said that the reason why they carved Mount Rushmore was to bring out the features of the giant that it really is. I allow all thought We ask all the questions. And besides, this is pretty interesting. If you look at this, you can see that it's Mount Rushmore, but it's turned on its side. And they're advocating that Mount Rushmore is actually, we're going, Mud Fossil University here, that Mount Rushmore is actually a giant, or at least the head of a giant that's lying on his back. And that the carving of it brought out the features better. Because isn't it amazing, if you look at Roosevelt and Lincoln, it looks just like some jagged, mangly teeth that you would expect a giant to have. He's got a scowl on his face. This is his teeth right here. This is his mouth open. These are his teeth. Looks exactly like teeth. In fact, I just now realized that it was Roosevelt and Lincoln. It looks just like teeth. Here's his chin down here and his jawline. And he's snarling. So here would be his nose. He's snarling. And his eyes are kind of blank, or maybe he's got on his Ray-Bans. I'm not sure. And here's his forehead. And he's got this hair up here, right? Some people say that it could be a giant on its back. I say, what do you think? And then some other people say that this is not a tree. I disagree with that. But I think Roger on Mud Fossil University, and he's welcome to come on this program. I've tried to contact him a couple times and haven't had any success. I know he's a busy guy. But some people think that Mount Rushmore is a giant's head, and that the Devil's Tower is an Achilles tendon from a giant. I find that a little bit fanciful. I don't know what the cross-section of the Achilles tendon looks like, but I know the top of this looks exactly like a tree. I'm going to be on the side of the Kiowa. I'm going to be on the side of what my vision tells me, and I'm going to show you some pictures I took here in a few minutes. You're going to be like, whoa. But it might be a giant. I don't know. But it's certainly fun to think about, isn't it? I took this picture. If you didn't know that that was a nearly 1,300-foot tower, and you didn't know that these were trees and not like grass or little shrubs, you might very well say, oh, that's a tree stump. Pardon me. You know, we've got the old saying, if it looks like a duck, if it walks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. If it looks like a tree stump, it's probably a tree stump. And notice this bark. Look at that. What does this look like? This looks like bark. It looks exactly like bark. This looks exactly like a tree. See, I gave you a close-up. I took this shot too. Here's a close-up. That is tree bark. Go look at any tree out there that you've seen in the forest that's been cut down, and you'll see the bark like this on it. It's a tree. It walks like a tree. It acts like a tree. It's a tree. It's a tree. That's my opinion. That's the opinion of the Kiowa. That's the opinion of most people that have been there and seen it. And if you haven't been there and seen it for yourself, feel free to keep your opinion to yourself. Because I've been there and I've seen it, and I say it's a tree. And once you go and look at it, then I'll listen to you, but not now. Here's another picture that I took. That's tree bark. It's tree bark. It's tree bark. And there again is the top, the cross section of a tree. Let me see if I can find, that might be it. No, that's not it. Once we get done, I'll see if I can find, if I can pull up here for you the top of the Devil's Tower, the Bear Lodge. You can see how much, you can see it looks exactly like that. Exactly like that. Because it is a tree. It looks just like a tree only because it is a tree. And it might be his tree. So, let's think for a minute about those girls running to the tree, getting message and wisdom from the tree. And as the story goes, the Kiowa story goes, they got moved up to the Pleiades or became the Pleiades. Now, I know that we are all about being divine. We're all about being sovereign. We're all about being free. We know that if it is to be, it's up to me and up to thee. But when, let me just say and when so much ancient spiritual wisdom has to do with humans receiving help in time of need from other benevolent entities, is it wrong to think that we might get some help from other beings and or gods? Is that impossible? There's another native legend that talks about a man who is trapped on a beach and the forest fire is closing in on him. And he prays to the gods to take him across the water, and they don't answer. So he puts together a bunch of fallen logs, and he binds them together with some vines, and he sets out across the lake. And as he gets across the lake, of course, his raft that was hastily fashioned fails, and he's plunged into the freezing waters. And then he begins to swim. And he swims with all of his might, but he's overcome by exhaustion. He's overcome by the cold temperatures. And he's under the water. He feels himself drowning, and the next thing he knows, he's on the other shore. So the lesson here is, if you do all you can do, if we do all we can do, if we exhaust our own abilities, if we do all we can, we build the raft metaphorically. And if the raft fails, we swim metaphorically. And if we give to our very last effort of ability, then, and I would share with you, only then can you look to receive help from other beings. Maybe your ancestors from times past. Maybe your ancestors from the future. Maybe beings from some other dimension. Maybe beings from some other realm here on this plane on which we live. And maybe even divinity. I'm Irish. Maybe Danu would reach down and help me. Maybe some of the Tuatha De Danann might reach down and help me. But they're certainly not going to do it unless and until I've done everything I possibly can do to try to make this thing work. Until I have exhausted the extent of my human abilities, until I have studied, until I have worked, until I have meditated, until I have done all I can do to bring myself to a place of spiritual victory, I can expect no help. The false divinity of the Bible wants you to sit around and do nothing and cast all your cares upon him. He wants you to just be a little automaton and do what he tells you to, and he promises you he'll take care of you. And he won't. I've proven it to you over and over again. True divinity says, work. True divinity is like a good parent. I've made the mistake, and so has Cynthia, of giving things to kids for nothing. It's a mistake. that which you receive too easily, you value too lightly. The truly divine gods and goddesses, they are good parents, if we can use that analogy. And they will only step in when we have done all we can do. And when and if you've done all you can do, then you can expect some help. But you cannot expect a bailout. Unfortunately, many of the younger generation, and I don't know what's up with you folks, I really don't. I see it in my own kids. I see it as I observe people. What makes those of you that are like under 40 think that you're owed something? Those of us that are, 55 and up, we know that we are not owed anything. All we're owed is an opportunity. All we're owed is a chance. All we want is an equal chance to do our due. That's all we want. But somehow, between those of us that are 40 and over and those of you that are 40 and under, there was a disconnect. And it's not true for everybody, thankfully. But a lot of you 30s, 20s people, you somehow have got this idea that you're owed something. It's called, entitlement. All you're entitled to is an equal shot. All you're entitled to is an equal chance. But somewhere along the line, some of you have got this thought that you're owed something. Well, it's not fair, and I need this, and I'm owed. You're not owed anything. And I know I sound like the old guy, saying back when I was young. But a lot of times the old guy's right. And if you stop looking for somebody to help you out and start helping your own self out, you might find a different result. And if you don't like where your life is, be man enough, be woman enough to examine it. And I'm willing to bet that you will find that you have consistently applied the same stratagem and it hasn't worked yet. So if you keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results, it ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. And whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're 100% correct. And let me share something else with you. I hear this a lot today. Well, she makes me feel unappreciated. He makes me feel stupid. She makes me feel like I'm worthless. He makes me so mad. She makes me so sad. Bullshit. Bullshit. The truth of the matter is, laying a little NLP on you, and NLP is like a hammer. You can use it to drive a nail and build a house, or you can use it to bash somebody's head in. It's a tool. I'm going to give you some gold right here, some platinum. Nobody makes you feel anything. Ever. The next time you say, well, he makes me, she makes me, stop yourself, because it's not true. Nobody ever makes you feel anything. People do things. They provide stimuli, which you yourself take in and receive, and you yourself decide that what she said, what she did, is going to make you sad. You could just as soon decide that what she said or what she did will make you glad, because it turns out she's a bitch anyways, and you should leave. The next time, ladies, you start saying, he makes me feel, no, he doesn't. He does stuff that you see and receive as stimuli, and then you decide to feel that way. Maybe if he is doing things that make you feel worthless, there's a better dude out there for you. Maybe. Or maybe you're just too sensitive. Maybe you're entitled. You get what I'm saying. Nobody makes you feel anything. Quit saying that. He makes me feel, she makes me feel, this makes me feel that. No, it doesn't make you feel. Nothing makes you feel. You decide to feel based on stimuli. That's called some tough love. But that is 100% good stuff right there. Let's check back in on the Rockfin chat room. We're rocking and rolling over at Rockfin. Rockfin is an amazing, amazing, amazing platform. Devil's Tower is the coolest tree stump I've ever visited, says Esoter Bear. I like it, Esoter Bear. Is that like nakedness, or is it just a play on words? And it's bear again. That's interesting. It's gorgeous. I think it is gorgeous. It's really amazing. It's fantastic. It is fantastic. Let's see what else we got going on here. Let me turn off the scroll and look up and get some new stuff here. Let's see. Pedro, humans are the only self-predation species that enjoys cruelty. Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? Let's see. Sovereign, divine, and free beings do not allow others to force them into a single thing. There you go, Catherine. Exactly right. Exactly right. Hello, cousins. Fish is in the house. Have a take and don't suck. That's beautiful. I like it. I like it. I like it. All right. Let's see what's going on here. Catherine, nobody makes you do anything. Clayton, maybe they will add mods one day. I will. And that day, but I'm on the road, cuz. I'm not going to add moderators while I'm on the road. I'm enjoying my lovely wife and this great time out here. It's great time out here. Let's see. Please don't feed the trolls. I agree. Please don't. I can see I'm going to have to block somebody. It's sad, but there's some pathetic little people out there. There's some pathetic little people out there with nothing better to do. And that's okay. That's okay. All right, folks. All right, folks. Let's see. What do I have left here? What do I have left here? What do I have left here? I took this picture too. Tell me again how that's not a tree stump. And I think this is part of the reason for the derision that tree huggers suffer. Oh, you're a tree hugger. Nobody wants to admit to being a tree hugger. I am a tree hugger. I will hug any tree. And I will get some messages from the trees that you won't get. Because the trees, they want to talk to us. They want to tell us. It's the wood-wide network, ladies and gentlemen. Transfer of information from beings to beings. We need to start becoming tree huggers. Let's hug some trees, ladies and gentlemen. And please send me I'll use the word testimony. Send me the testimonials of what happens to you when you go out in nature. And it's not just a tree. Big rock, sit on that rock and talk to that rock. Ask that rock to transfer some information to you. Ask the trees to transfer information to you. Out in a grassy field, ask the grass. Ask nature to reveal herself to you. I think you'll be surprised at the results. I think you'll be surprised at the results. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cousins of all ages, it's that moment again. We're going to take a short break. And when we get back, we will open up the phone lines and we will take your calls, and it's going to be a fun time. So we will be right back. I'm Jeffery Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. This is Late Night in the Heartland. I am your mailman, and I'm bringing you the information that you can use to unindoctrinate yourself or not. You can just stay indoctrinated if you like. I hope that you'll choose not to. But we'll be back right after this.
Sparks fly from her fingertips. Echoed voices in the night. She's a restless spirit on an endless flight. Ooh, witchy woman, see how high she flies. Ooh, witchy woman, she got the moon in her eye. Spellbound in the night, dancing shadows and firelight, crazy laughter in another room, and she drove herself to madness with a silver spoon. Ooh, witchy woman, see how high she flies. Ooh, witchy woman, she got the moon in her eye. I know you won't love her. Let me tell you, brother, she's been sleeping in the devil's bed. And there's some rumors going around. Someone's underground. She can rock you in the night until your skin turns red. Ooh, witchy woman, see how high she flies. Ooh, witchy woman, she got the moon in her eye.
And we are back. It's one of those nights, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm trying to get my tuned in here to Ring Central so we can open up the phone lines. I'm trying to do it through the computer and not through the cell phone. Of course, when we're at home, it's very easy. We've got it all set up, but we're not at home. So always allow Ring Central to open. Yep. Okay. And it looks like we're going to meet with success, I think. Get started. All right. I think we're going to be okay, ladies and gentlemen. I think we're going to be okay. Come on now. Work with me here. I got it. Okay, so get started. I think we're good. I think we're good. All right, folks. What we're going to do now is open up the phone lines, but we have some rules. And guess what? My house, my rules. You must be polite. And if you're not polite, well, let me rephrase that. You must be polite, and I promise to be as polite to you as you are to me. And this is my show. If you talk over me, if you're rude, you're gone. And you will never, ever be allowed to call back again. If you are polite, if you're interesting, we can have a great conversation. And if somebody that disagrees with me actually has the testicular fortitude to call in, that would be great. Let's see if that happens. In fact, for the first 5 minutes, it's 11:07. Please, no one that agrees with me call in until 11:12. Let's give 5 minutes to those that disagree with me right up front. So, with that being said, here's the phone number. If you call in and you hear "Welcome to the Christian Whistleblower," press 0. If you call in and you hear music, that means you're on hold. It's late night in the Heartland. You're live with Jeffery Daugherty.
Hello, Jeffrey. This is Melissa calling you back. I talked to you last night.
Hi, Melissa.
Hello. I wanted to bring up that this is very interesting with this being a tree.
Right.
And I wanted to bring up the documentary that I had watched years ago, and I don't remember it all. I believe it was entitled "There Are No Forests."
Oh,
and
yeah.
they were talking about how, it's all mini here now, and we had all these big, giant trees, and there's evidence of it, and what you're pointing out tonight was some of that evidence.
Now, I wanted to ask a question on that, and I asked Cynthia this. If that's true, then how come the earth isn't covered with these devil's towers? There's a few of them out there, but how come if there were full forest of those trees, why don't we see more of these big stumps?
You know, what about the giants? I wanted to bring that up, giants, because there is evidence of that too, so we would need really huge trees, right?
If there were giants, then it'd be logical that there were really big trees as well, and vice versa. But again, I don't see enough of them. That's the only thing that makes me hesitant to accept that, because there's just not enough of those big stumps around.
Yeah, like what happened to them?
Or maybe they're just, there were some special trees of wisdom, special trees of knowledge, special trees that were giving out esoteric information. It's all speculation. It's all fascinating, but we just don't know for sure. But I'm telling you, that Devil's Tower is a tree.
I feel like what if they were just cut down so that we could not reach the heavens?
That's a very good possibility. I like that. They were just all cut down. And, if you look at, and we talk about the Bible a lot here, but if you look at the Bible, and most people don't know this, between Genesis 1:1 and 1:2, you have a time of great destruction. I need to turn this off close this app on my phone. I'll just turn down my phone completely. And you're going to have to hear the noise of other people calling in. But we've been told that there was a great destruction on earth, and that it was by the Lord who, with his fiery breath of his nostrils, destroyed what was a beautiful planet Earth. So very well may be that there's just a few of those stumps left that survived that destruction.
That's very interesting. No, I did not know that about Genesis.
Yeah, the key there is, if you read Genesis 1:1, in the beginning the earth was without form and void, and it's in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth was without form and void. That word "was," every place else in the Old Testament is translated "became." So the true meaning of the verse is, in the beginning the gods created the heavens and the earth became without form and void. And Jeremiah tells us that it became without form and void at the appearance of the Lord and his fiery anger. He destroyed the fruitful place, he tore down the cities, and he tore down people. So that's where we get that from. Thanks for the call. That was fascinating. I really appreciate it. Anything else?
Thank you.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye. It's late night in the Heartland. You're live with Jeffery Daugherty. Please turn down your radio.
Hello?
Hello, you're live with Jeffery Daugherty.
Oh, hey, I'm sorry. I thought I was hearing things. Hey, what's up, man? I'm actually Clayton in the Rockfin chat.
Well, nice to hear from you, Clayton.
Yeah, wanted to ask you a question.
Okay.
Did you ever watch the like 6 hours, that documentary, The Lost History of the Flat Earth?
I did not. I've never watched that one.
Okay, we need to watch that because he also has another long series, which is about 8 hours, that he made before that actually has a lot of the tree stuff that y'all are talking about.
Oh, interesting. Now, I do not believe that we live on a spinning ball. So,
oh no, I'm total flat Earth too.
But I will definitely check it out.
Have you looked into Tartaria?
I have looked into Tartaria. I haven't been able to satisfy myself with what it is or where it was. There's not enough good data out there for me yet, but it's definitely something, and I'm definitely looking into it.
Okay, well, you mind if I read something?
As long as it's short.
Well, it might take a minute, but it's from Revelations.
There is no book of Revelations. Do you mean Revelation?
Revelation, you know what I'm talking about.
Okay. I just like to be exact. Go ahead.
Let me see if I can find it real quick. Sorry I didn't have it.
Yeah, well, call back when you do. It's Late Night in the Heartland. You're live with Jeffery Daugherty.
Hello?
Hello there. You're live with
you hear
Jeffery Daugherty. I can hear you just fine.
Hello? Oh, shoot. Hold on.
You got to turn down your... Yeah, okay.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. I heard you the whole time. What's up?
Oh, great. Okay, I just had to turn down the yeah.
Right.
I usually have people calling into me. I don't ever call into shows, so I had to figure out how to do it myself. My name is Robert, and I'm calling you Jeffrey because I heard everything that you said about Christianity. And I'm not offended. I'm really not. I just thought I might, criticize you a little bit to see, what would happen. And I think you didn't really like that. But, you can make fun of Jesus and Christians all you want. But
wait a minute. Hold on a second. When did I make fun of Christians?
Well, you were making fun of Jesus and...
No, I asked you a question. When did I make fun of Christians?
Well, when you make the verse Jesus come quickly and you make a joke about that, you're making a joke about all Christians.
No, I'm making a joke about the Jesus character, and specifically I'm making a joke about that portion of Scripture. So you're saying I made fun of Christians? I didn't.
I think what you're doing. I just think what you're doing is you're offending. You're doing it for the purpose of trying to offend or trying to. I don't know.
Well, you're wrong.
To me, it's not a. What's that?
You're wrong. I'm not doing it to offend.
Well, why do you do it?
Have you ever seen? The best example I can think of. Well, have you ever seen somebody that's delirious? They're irrational, and someone will slap them to break them out of that. That's what I'm doing.
So you're trying to basically say God is. You're just wanting to make fun of God. Is basically.
And there again,
probably don't believe Jesus.
When did I make fun of God? When did I make fun of God?
Well, I don't think you believe Jesus is God, right? Is that really what it is?
No, when I asked you a question, no, it's my show, and you're about to get hung up on. So you can't say that I made fun of God. I'm asking you, when did I make fun of God? And you have to answer if you want to continue this conversation.
Okay.
When did I make fun of God?
Do you believe Jesus is God?
I'm going to give you one more chance. When did I make fun of God? When did I make fun of God?
If you answer that question, then I can say that you made fun of him. If you don't believe Jesus is God, then it's irrelevant.
So what you're saying is, no, wait, you're about to get hung up on. This is my show. You said that I made fun of God, and I didn't make fun of God. I did not. Now, sometimes I'll make fun of. Sometimes I'll make fun of the God of the. If you keep talking over me, you're gone. I told you you have to be polite, and politeness is you let people finish their sentence.
Okay.
I will make fun of the Bible God at times because he's laughable, but I do not make fun of God and of deity in general because there is a real, true deity, but it ain't the goat herder God of the Bible.
There truly is. There truly is a God. Now, don't talk over me. Let me finish my statement without you interrupting me.
It's my show. I'll do what I want.
But you can talk over other people.
Okay, goodbye. This is why Christians don't call. It's Late Night in the Heartland. You're live with Jeffery Daugherty. Look, before you call in, folks, This is basic ABC kindergarten stuff. Before you call, turn down your computer sound. You cannot listen to yourself and talk to me at the same time. You've got to turn down the sound. Don't even call unless you turn down the sound. You can rewind the show and hear what you missed. Don't call with your sound up or I'll hang up on you immediately. Turn down your radio before you call. It's late night in the Heartland. You're live with Jeffery Daugherty.
Yes, this is John.
Hey, John, what's up, buddy?
Okay, my phone's not on and you can't hear anything, can you? I think I'm off. Okay.
Yeah, you're perfect.
All right. I don't want to lose my train of thought.
Just hit me up.
I love the show on the tree stuff. We talked about this before, and I've got pictures of bunches of tree stuff. But see, they have to be underwater and everything before they're petrified. So there could be a lot of them that just rotted away.
Oh, well, that's interesting. So you're telling me a lot of these big trees could have just rotted away?
Right. Yeah. To be petrified, it has to be underwater and to become petrified.
See, I didn't know that, John. You're teaching me something. You're teaching me. I didn't know that a tree had to be underwater to be petrified.
Yeah, that's my understanding of it. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am on that.
So these big trees, there could be more of these Devil Tower trees out there, but they just rotted away because they weren't underwater.
I researched it, and there was lots of them out there.
How many would you guess there are, John?
Hundreds, and some of them are not that far away from where this one is at.
Really?
They're real cut close to the ground. They're down very close to the ground. They're not sticking up like Devil's Tower.
You know, Cynthia noticed a couple of those on the way there and back. It's about a 2-hour drive from where we were, so you're right on that.
Yeah, and there's something else I wanted to talk about. I may have to call back in a minute. I forgot what it was.
That's okay. John, do you think, and especially from your LDS background, do you think that there's proof that some of the events of the Bible might have occurred in North America?
I absolutely do, yes.
Really?
I mean, how do you think they got that story about the bear and everything? I'm not saying necessarily occurred. It may have happened somewhere else in the world and was transferred over there. This earth is very old.
Right.
And some of these stories have been going around. See, these stories were actually by the stars. You know, you look at the stars and you see the Southern Cross and all that. All the stories of Jesus are in the sky.
Right.
It's been there all along, and people observe the sky and they make up religions over it.
Very well said.
Stories, all you have to do is look up into the heavens. Now, you can't see the Southern Cross in America, but you can sure see it down below the equator.
Interesting.
And since this earth is so old, these stories have been passed by generation after generation, and who knows what about the people that are on past the ice belt down there that have come over here. There's giants down there. Right now they're digging up civilization in Antarctica because that's the ice melt. They're finding these giant red-headed giants down there. They find them in South America. They're all over the place. You know, so we've got civilization everywhere that have been watching the stars and stuff for thousands and thousands of years. This earth is not 6,000 years old.
No.
Contrary to what the Bible says.
That's great,
so
John.
That's where those stories. Yeah. I do have something else, but I'm going to call. That's some other people calling. It'll be another time, maybe. All right.
All right, John. Thanks, brother. Okie dokie. The phone lines are open. 913-279-0831. It's 913-279-0831. And call in and disagree, but you can't call in and be disagreeable. And when you get asked a question, you have to answer it. It's just that simple. You got to answer it. I don't allow double talk. And, you know, I learned this from, what's the brother's name over there on No White Guilt? I forgot his name. Jason. He taught me to do this. For far too long, we allow people to say things and get away with saying things. Nothing gets by here. You have to, if you say something, it's got to be true, and you've got to be willing to defend it and address it. And if you don't, you're gone. We don't let sloppy language go. And you can't say things that aren't true. And if you try, you'll get called on it. It's just that simple. This is real world radio. Big boy, big girl. Mean what you say what you mean, and stand behind it. And if you said something that was wrong, you simply say, oh, I'm sorry, that was wrong. But our last caller wasn't able to say, oh, I'm sorry, that wasn't true. I was just upset. Just be real. Be real, be polite, and we'll have a conversation. It's Late Night in the Heartland. You're live with Jeffery Daugherty.
Hey, Jeffrey. Iris in Colorado.
Hello, Iris. How are you tonight, and what's on your mind?
Oh, my, do I have news for you tonight.
Well, let's have it.
I take my dog across the street, and it's there's a place, it's called Sangre de Cristo Art Center.
Uh-huh.
And I never noticed, and I was looking at their emblem type thing in front of the, and it's like Illuminati, right? There was like three pyramid shapes.
Yep.
Okay, so I was going to take my dog out at 7:30. I said, I'll miss Jeffrey, so I'm going to take him out early.
Aww.
So I walk across the street, and I see these people sitting in chairs in a parking lot, and I look over, and they're flashing. They had this ladder set up with like kind of like I don't know what you would call it, but like a projector, projecting stuff onto the building. And they were flashing. The first thing that came out was Illuminati sign, the triangular sign.
Interesting. You know that place is called the Blood of Jesus, right? That's what that Sangre de Christos means.
The Blood of Jesus, yes. And so then I looked at it, and I was like, I looked over. At first I looked to see how many people were there, and I counted. There's probably 12 people sitting in chairs. And they had black clothing on, and then I looked at the bumper. I looked at the license plates, and they weren't from Pueblo.
Interesting.
And so they had also in front of the building. They put lights so that they could make that triangular sign in front of the building, but they turned it off after they got done with the projection. But then they showed other things, and what was interesting was they had like I'd say 6 different things they were showing, like trying to pick what they want to put up there. And one of them, it looked like a man coming out of one of the doors and falling into the ground. And then there was other ones with, like, all-seeing eye. Like, it was just all New World Order stuff.
Wow.
Just unbelievable. And then so I thought to myself, when I looked over to my apartment, to see I live downtown in the historical area, and I looked at the building, which is another, like a couple buildings down from me. It was built in 1882. So I think this building I live in was built in 1883. And so I started looking at the structure and stuff. And on the top of it, it has the same shape, the pyramid.
Wow. Well, be careful out there. And thanks for that report. I wanted to move on, not because of anything you said, but because we got a lot of people on hold. Thanks for that report. And we always like to hear from you. It's Late Night in the Heartland. You're live with Jeffery Daugherty. Turn down your radio. All right. If you can't turn down your sound before you call, then you can't be on the show. It's Late Night in the Heartland. You're live with Jeffery Daugherty.
Oh, it's John again. I remember what I was going to say.
Okay, what was it?
About the honey and the vinegar, that remark.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't a negative. It wasn't negative. What it was you were talking about the good mom and pop Jewish people, and about they're going to get killed too because of the numbers on the top on the flagstones.
Right.
The 500,000. So I was just saying that we want to get some honey there and tell them we're going to help them too. And just like we do with
Good
Christians,
point.
we want to help them.
Good point.
So we got to use honey and rather than vinegar to get them and let them know that we love them and we want them to know this knowledge that we're trying to get to them.
That's a great point, John. You're 100% correct, and I have challenges with that. I really do, and I have to.
I know you do. That's okay. Because you're trying to shock people and get them in. Just like you tried to tell the other guy. Well, I don't understand that. But here's the other thing I want you to tell you about this: the ghost dancers. Have you heard of the ghost dancers? The Hoppies. They wear a special garment under their clothes, And believe it or not, it has the Masonic markings on it.
No kidding.
And it's made out of deer skin, and it's white. They dye it white. And it's a white, and it's their holy clothes that they wear under their regular clothes. And it's called a ghost dance. When they do the ghost dance, they repeat the words about Yahweh and all that stuff. Ah, yeah, Yahweh, Yahweh.
Wow, that's crazy.
While they're dancing. Yeah, so it's been here in America before. Now, how they knew about that and Joseph Smith knew about it, I don't know exactly where he got his information. He claims he got it in Revelation, but there was a lot of Indians around at that time of Joseph Smith's time.
Yeah, especially up there where he was in Palmyra.
Yeah. So that's the thing that But there's also very much in northern up around New York and those areas, those other tribes up there. I can't remember which one it was, but I think it's Hurons or something like that. But they had lodges and they had Masonic symbols and everything, and they buried that cross or whatever it is, the way that the Masons do all that stuff under the lodge and everything.
Amazing.
They did the same thing here, and I imagine they got that probably from the Vikings when they came over and out of Ireland and places. They had lodges up there too,
Crazy stuff, John. I appreciate it very much. Thanks,
a lot
brother.
of interesting things going on in America over the years. I'll let you go. All right.
Absolutely,
bye-bye.
man. Thank you. Great stuff. Lots of great calls tonight. It's Late Night in the Heartland. You're live with Jeffrey Daugherty.
Hey, Jeff, I'm going to try this one more time. I should have said, the first thing I should have said is I'm a history major. And of course, this is the first time I've ever actually called in a show like this. So I'm going to try to get information out. I'm only presenting information. So anyway, I've looked into Tartaria and quite a bit. I'm also a history major. Okay, there's like 4
Yeah, you said that
5.
twice now.
Okay. Anyway, sorry, I get a little nervous.
That's okay.
There are 4 or 5 historians, pagan historians, in history back in the time of Christ, around 66
What
AD.
does pagan mean? You use the word pagan. What do you mean by that?
Okay, they don't believe in Christianity.
That's
Anybody
exactly
that doesn't
right.
believe in... Okay, so they wrote about something happening around then, and this is where preterists will talk about everything already happening. Well, like I said, I'm unsure of everything myself still. That's why I'm listening to you. I don't just take everything to heart. I'm just learning. I'm still learning.
We all are.
Anyway, so they wrote about something happening in the clouds back then, and they all said something a little bit differently, okay? And they weren't Christians or anything like that, okay? So I have looked in Tartaria, and to me, it kind of lines up with a possibility that was a 1,000-year reign of Christ. Okay, so something happened about 200, 300, maybe 400 years ago. And like I said, if you watch all those videos that I told you about earlier, it will make sense to you. And we can maybe talk about it later. I just want to give you the information real quick, and we can kind of move on, and y'all can then simmer on it. Anyway, so, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. Anyway, they said that preterists think that a 1,000-year reign, everything's already happened. They think that. Anyway, I think it's possible.
Well, everybody up until the 16th century believed that everything in the Bible had already occurred, and the person that brought the idea that it hasn't occurred yet, it was written in a book by a Jesuit priest called Francisco Rivera.
And I'm not debating anything. I believe the Bible's changed. The Mandela effect, I think, has changed a lot of things. But basically, when they said that, and something happened back then. If you look in Tartaria, all I'm saying is something happened, mud flood, whatever you want to call it, that people say.
Yeah, there was some catastrophe, right? Some kind of a catastrophe.
This is why I wanted to read the Bible verse. It's like people disappeared and reappeared out of nowhere. So just let me read it, and we'll take it from there. That cool? It won't take long.
Go ahead.
All right, it's Revelation 20, starting there at 1. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him
We've all heard that verse 1,000 times. Just tell me, if you want, you can call back and tell me what you think it means. But let me ask you this. If you didn't already believe in the Bible, would you ever think that the Bible story was true? It's Late Night in the Heartland. You're live with Jeffrey Daugherty.
Hey, it's Catherine in Ohio.
Hey, Catherine, how are you?
I'm great. Caught bits of the show, so I hope it won't be redundant, but I did hear John call in and talk about, like you were talking about, how the Tower of Babel could have happened in North America and maybe more.
Yeah, I'm asking that question. Do you think it's possible?
Absolutely. It's undeniable to me because,
Really?
you see, in Ohio we have many conical mounds, and we also have the great serpent mound.
Yeah.
There's a great circle. And so they find in some of these burial grounds the oddest thing. Well, first off, they're giants, 7 to 8 foot people.
Wow.
Then next to them, and this when I found this out years ago, it blew my mind. Ancient Hebrew on tablets next to them.
Is it like the old Hebrew, like the Phoenician, the Proto-Hebrew they call it?
That's what I guess. Yeah. So, I mean, all I saw in the research was it said Ancient Hebrew. Now that
Wow.
to me, that takes you right back to phonetics.
It does.
Phoenicians, and and those are controllers. And the theory that I heard someone talk about Tartaria a moment ago, that the Phoenicians are the ones that took out the Tartarians.
My son was trying to tell me that. I just went, saw him a month or so ago, and he was telling me the same thing. The Phoenicians took out the Tartarians.
Yeah, I mean, you really should look at Martin's work on Flat Earth British. I think he's the only one who's really tracked it down. I mean, his shows are like 3 hours long and very long, very detailed.
Excellent.
But I would definitely check him out. He's British,
I will.
Obviously, but he's been finding all these like lithographs, etchings, incredible maps, various things that show. There's a bunch of guys running around with staves that have the fleur-de-lis on them, which seems to be some sort of Tesla tech. In action, it's the torus field. If you look at it, like if you complete.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's these lightning bolts coming out of it, and it's like he finds evidence after evidence of this, and they're well done. So what? I mean, I have artistic talent. My mom's a professional artist. You don't just whip out something for kicks, like always mythological, always made up and fantastic, and then it's over and over again, and it's in historical tomes and whatnot. I mean,
yeah, I agree with you. There's something there. There's got to be something there.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like directed energy weapons is what I'm going to say.
And I can't disagree with you. I think you may well be onto something. It's fascinating.
Hey, and you guys should come and see these mountains sometime. I mean, when I step on them, I feel vortex energies, and it's incredible.
I've made plans before to come up there, and I'm just going to have to go ahead and do it.
You should. You should let me know.
All right, Catherine, will do. Thanks so much for the call.
Thanks.
Bye-bye now. Good stuff. Just be polite, be interesting. It's Late Night in the Heartland. You're live with Jeffery Daugherty.
Hello?
Hello, you're live, Joe.
Hey guys, your son was better. I would like to highlight 2 patterns that I see here. Number 1, I am reminded of the Nordic World Tree.
Yes, great.
And number 2, could these actually be special trees that are growing on specific lines?
Ooh. Great stuff, Joe. Fantastic stuff. I think you're right on, man. And I meant to look deeper into that, but I was so harried driving down here. But I was reminded of the World Tree. There's also a big tree in Daniel that I didn't get a chance to look at, too. So maybe we'll follow up on that a little bit tomorrow. But, Joe, you are right on as usual. It's Late Night in the Heartland. You're live with Jeffery Daugherty.
All right, man. Last time. I just want to read.
You're not going to read. No. We're not going to read on the show. We're not going to read the Bible on the show. We're not going to read the Bible on the show. We're not going to. This is not a show where you call up and read. This is a show where you call up and talk. It's called a talk show. It's not called a read show. You are not going to read the Bible on my show. Now, you probably have a channel, and you can read the Bible on your channel. But you're not going to read the Bible. You're not going to read the Book of Mormon. You're not going to read the Book of Satan. You're not going to read Dianetics on this channel. We don't read. We talk on this show. It's a talk show, not a read show. Talk show, not read show. We're not going to read. Yai. Joe is so on top of it, man. I knew about that world tree. It was the great tree in Daniel. Great tree in Daniel. Literally, folks, I was just jamming to try to get some stuff together. It's in Daniel 4 to get this show on the air tonight. I had it all in my head, but I always, write it out and give you a nice presentation. Let's go to Daniel 4. See what it says about that tree there. Daniel chapter 4. The lines are still open. Daniel chapter 4. The great tree. Let's see what he has to say there and see if is this the same tree, folks? I don't know. Did this happen in North America? Is it just getting passed around? Nebuchadnezzar had a dream of a great tree. Nebuchadnezzar was sleeping at his house, in his palace, and then he saw a dream which upset him. And he made a decree to bring all the wise men of Babylon before him so that they could interpret this dream for him. Yada, yada, yada. Everybody came in. Nobody could tell them. Then they said, hey, there's this kid. They came up with the people from Judea. Let's go ahead and bring him in and see if he can tell you. And he tells Daniel what his dreams were. And he says that there was this tree that grew strong. And the phone lines are still open if you want to call in. We'll interrupt this. The tree grew strong, and its height reached unto heaven, and the sight thereof to the end of all the earth. And the leaves were nice leaves. The fowls could come and, take refuge there. And then somebody or something came down from heaven and cut down the tree, cut off the branches, scattered everybody from under it. And nevertheless, they left the stump in the earth. Oh boy, they left the stump in the earth. And, this is the same story. And then there was a person whose heart was changed. This was Nebuchadnezzar. He changed from a man into a beast, just like that boy. Just like that boy. It's the same story as the Kiowa story. It's the same story as Tower of Babel. It's the same story as the great tree in Nebuchadnezzar in Daniel. Joe Sapiens is brilliant. Joe Sapien, there's no S. It's the same story. Daniel interprets the dream. Daniel says that, what does he say? He says that the dream comes from those that don't like you, and the interpretation goes to your enemies. The tree that you saw, and the tree which was all of that good stuff, is you, O king. Thou art grown strong. Your greatness is grown. It reaches even to heaven. It reaches through all the earth. So he said that Nebuchadnezzar was the tree. So that gives us a whole new thing. Wow, that gives us a whole new thing. And of course it goes on, if you don't get your stuff right, you'll be hewn down like that tree was hewn down. Wow, Joe, you really brought something great to the table there. I appreciate it. Fantastic stuff. The phone line is still open. There are phone lines. That's why if you call in and you hear Welcome to the Christian Whistleblower, hit 0. If you call in and you hear music, you're on hold. Just wait and I'll get to you. Everybody's welcome to call. Just have something to say and be polite and be interesting. and it'll all go well. If you look around Devil's Tower, you can see sawdust. Joe, you're right. Wow, you are right. Amazing stuff. Amazing, amazing stuff. Wow. Wow. Friar Tuck says some of the stuff in the Bible happened in North America. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. So we're going to have to just block some people, and I will block you after the show tonight. I'm not going to waste time during the show. But if you have testicular fortitude, call up and be polite, and we'll talk. It's late night in the Heartland. You're live with Jeffery Daugherty.
Catherine swinging back around.
Okay, Catherine, what's up?
All right, so I think the trees are the way out of the Matrix.
The trees are the way out of the Matrix. Tell me how.
Yes. Okay, so Jaegertrail, the world tree,
Yep.
takes you to different realms.
Ooh, it does, doesn't it?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, we see the bottom of it here. And then, you know, then you climb the tree. I mean, think of all the climbing of, like, even, like, Jack and the Beanstalk kind of Jack.
You know, just like those sisters did in the Kiowa story. They climbed up the tree and they went to another realm.
To get away from...
To get away
from
the
monster.
The bear monster god.
Yeah.
Wow. So we're climbing that tree right now, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Absolutely. It's just that it's not a physical thing, in my opinion. Like, it's the...
Right.
And remember how you did that show about how there were two different kinds of beings. There was a tree being, and then there was the other, which, you know, I think is Usual Suspects being.
Yep.
You know.
That's fantastic stuff. So we are trying to... It's just like, you know, and then there's the perversion of it would be Jacob's ladder. Because a ladder, what is a ladder? It's a tree that's been cut down and fashioned into something man-made. It's a false paradigm.
Exactly. And then there's a series called The Ringing Cedars of Russia, which I love. It's super interesting. And she says she's a human, but she has abilities. And her people live in the Taiga, which is the Russian wilderness. Like, there's no roads there. It's, like, complete wilderness.
Wow.
And they have these trees, these ringing cedars that reach up into the heavens. I mean, I think it said it was at least a mile tall.
Holy crap.
And that would ring this energy out of the tree. It's fascinating. There's a lot more to it. But, you know, like, you literally can't get these trees out of there. And then the people cut them down from time to time in the Taiga when it's the time to harvest it, and then they use the wood and pass it around each other for various objects.
You know, Joe just put a great comment in. He said, what if the rest of the tree is in another dimension?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, so in the mythos of the Norse, that you climb the tree, it's the same thing. It's like the Kabbalist tree of life or the tree of evil, or the same thing as the world tree, where you use it to climb out of here.
Great stuff,
at the trunk
Catherine.
level. Yeah.
Wow.
So, anyway, thank you. Great
Deep
show.
thoughts. Thank you for calling in again. Anytime. That was really powerful stuff. Oh, that's right. In Avatar, there was the tree thing there too, wasn't there? It's late night in the Heartland. You're live with Jeffery Daugherty.
Hey, yo, Jeff, it's Cabbage.
Cabbage, what's up, man? It's been a while.
Yeah, man, I've seen I've seen the news, and they had the army kneeling and talking to the Afghans. I was like, what the hell is this shit about right here? You know
It's crazy.
So I know it's going down right now. You know what I mean? They kneel to him and all that. You know, and you know, all the Christians on the channel, all they do is spying on you. You know what I'm saying? They do me the same way when I was spitting the knowledge.
That's the way it is, man.
What's the verse you were saying that people who see believe in what they I can't think of it right now. You know, where they see like what they say. You know, they already planned this shit, but what they call it, prophecy. Yeah, people see prophecies. What's the verse on that? People who see prophecies and they really adulterous and all liars and all this.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're talking about a wicked and adulterous generation seeks after a sign.
What chapter is that?
That is in Matthew chapter 16, verse number 4. Matthew 16:4.
Okay.
And then you got parallel passages to it in Mark chapter 8 and in Luke chapter 11.
Okay. Well, you know, the cool thing about it, no matter how much info you get these Christians, they gonna still turn around and say some dumb shit. You're like, you just don't understand nothing, no.
It's frustrating. I try to stay loving and helpful, but some people, it's just like when somebody's drowning, you got to be careful as they will drown you down too. You just got to keep your distance until they get wore out and ready to sink. So I'm just waiting for these fools to sink, Cabbage, and then I'll reach out and grab them by their hair and drag them to the side, maybe.
That's it. You know, because I keep telling that the jealous God was here thousands and thousands of years before religion was even around. And he's the devil against God. You know what I'm saying? And he sits over all religion. You know, I'm like, but they still come back and say, "Oh, Jesus said, oh man, all right, I love you. See you later."
Love you too, Cabbage. Thanks, brother. That's awesome stuff. Cabbage dropping knowledge like usual. So glad to have him around. So glad to have all of you around. We've only got about 10 minutes left. We can sneak in a couple more calls if you like. Tomorrow night will be Wednesday night. I'll be back in the studio tomorrow night. Remember, we come on at 10 p.m. And I think tomorrow night we were going to have Robert Stanley. He had a situation come up where he's got to do some personal business. We'll reschedule that. So tomorrow night we're going to go with Jesus, the Lamb of God, Exposed. I've had that one cooking on the back burner for a while, and it's like some good spaghetti sauce. It's going to be really good and tasty. It's going to be really meaty. It'll be dense. It'll give you some real good information how to stick to your spiritual bones, and you'll find out why he's called the Lamb and what that is all about. And we're going to go right in and expose some of the core teachings of Christianity. You know, I'm the Christian whistleblower for a reason. I was a minister for 25 years, 20 of that full time. I have preached on 5 continents. I have a Bible college degree, and I have spent over 100,000 hours of study in the biblical text, your script. You call it the scripture, it's really your script. And what these fools don't get is that I was them. I know what they're going to say before it comes out of their mouth because I used to say it. And I have forgotten more about this than they know. So I don't blame them when they don't call in because they don't want to get a verbal whipping. I just wish one of them could call in and be like, you know, the guy that I miss is Chris Putnam. He died at a very young age, and he was a guy that was able to actually talk coherently. He was a guy that was able to talk intelligently. We didn't believe the same thing about anything, but when we would have debates, it was actually polite, it was gentlemanly, it was scholarly, and it wasn't, oh, you make fun of this and you make fun of that. That's like, I felt like I was in a sandbox. No. When you make a statement, if Chris made a statement, I'd say, hey, Chris, what do you mean by that? And he would say, oh, I'm sorry, that was hyperbole. What I was trying to say was, that's the way adults, that's the way scholars interact. That's the way scholars interact. And if you act like your butt hurt, you're not going to last long on the channel. You're just not. We have to have a take and not suck, like Fish says. Of course, that comes from Jim Rome. But we want to hear from you, but you got to have something to say. And I'm sorry, but I don't let people read on the channel. I don't let people read. And I appreciate everyone that calls. It's late night in the Heartland. You're live with Jeffery Daugherty.
What's going on?
Hey, Fish, what's up, my brother?
Not much. Got real sick here for a little bit, man.
Well, I'm glad you're better.
Damn bearing, I think. Yeah. Hey, I just wanted to ask you ever heard anybody say the number 13 is evil or anything like that?
We that's the lore. That's why a lot of hotels don't have a 13th floor. And, 13 has this reputation of being unlucky. And to be honest with you, Fish, I haven't really dove that deep into it because it doesn't really interest me that much. But
I just wanted to say that there was 13 soldiers killed in Afghanistan.
Ooh.
There's 13 at the Last Supper.
Ooh.
If you look at a clock and you add 12 and 1, 11 and 2, 10 and 3, 9 and 4, it all adds up to 13.
Holy crap.
So, I mean, I've been kind of getting into that, but man, it's just like 13 soldiers,
Was that movie with Jim Carrey also called Number 13?
I think somebody, yeah. I was into it for a while because I was sick in bed for quite a while here.
Right.
But I'm back and still kicking.
It was actually number, what was that movie? It was actually called, I can't find, number 23, not 13.
20, was it? Yeah, it was a 20.
The number 23, but that's close.
I mean, you got to realize how many more things are in front of us with a number like that that's so supposed to be not good,
And some people think that in the Jesus story there was 13. Well, there was Jesus and 12 apostles. That's 13.
There's 13. That's who was at the dinner, right?
There was 13 original colonies.
Right. You know what I mean?
Wow, that starts to get really interesting. 13 solar months.
If you dig into the thing that's coming with the white horse, what you call it?
Yeah, that's the first seal of Revelation.
Yeah, but
the tribulation, the second coming, yeah.
But what do they call that, Jeff?
Call what?
When the rapture.
The rapture, yeah.
I've been digging into a lot of that rapture, so that's probably where I come up with the 13. Now you just helped me with a couple more, so there is quite a few things that rotate around 13.
There really are, Fish. Hey, man, it's great to hear from you again. Get well.
Yeah, you be good. Hey, cousins, everybody be good.
Absolutely. Fish, thanks for having a take and not sucking. You always are bringing the goods. Wow. We might have time for one more call. We've got just a few minutes left. And I tell you what, man, I sit around here, I look around me, we're in a nice trailer, got a beautiful woman asleep in the other room, a couple of nice dogs. We're putting out this message over the Global Enlightenment Radio Network, over Twitter, over Twitch, over Odyssey, over the fantastic platform of Rockfin. And I realize that I am living my dream. And I'm living exactly what I manifested for many years. So if you don't think that it works, you're wrong. If you don't think that you can manifest your world and see it come true, you're wrong. Because I am sitting right now looking at what I always wanted and what I've been manifesting for years. I guess I'm saying that not to pat myself on the back, but I kind of just realized it, which was really nice. But I'm saying it to give you hope. Part of our problem is we live in a microwave generation. We expect that we can get anything we want in 38 seconds or less. And it just doesn't work that way. I mean, I started this in 2014. And I worked really, really hard for 6 years to become somewhat of an overnight success. I worked 6 years to become an overnight success. You just got to keep pushing. You just got to keep digging. You just got to keep going. You just got to keep growing. And eventually, it turns around. And you pop it. But if you don't put in the work, you're not going to get the result. It just doesn't work that way. I've closed off the lines. We're out of time tonight. But what a great night. What an interesting, powerful night of information. I appreciate you so much for calling in. I appreciate you so much for listening. I really am thankful for the Global Enlightenment Radio Network. It's just a great, great family. And we're going to start having, let's see, Thursday night, we're going to have Michelle Swinnick on. She has a great show on the Global Enlightenment Radio Network. Of course, we're going to have Robert Stanley on. I'm talking with, and how about I say his name, Dr. Paul Cottrell, to come on. And we're going to try to feature some of the other people on the network because we want to help out and because they're interesting. You know, Daryl Neely runs the network, and if he thinks somebody's interesting, then they are. And we appreciate all the hard work that Daryl does. We're sending out our healing energies to him. He's run into a sickness. And let's just take a few seconds right now before we close the program and just right now concentrate on Daryl and send him some healing energy, send him some healing virtue, and we'll just send it to him right now collectively, all over the cousins, all over the world, sending in and focusing healing power, healing virtue, healing energy right now on Daryl from the Global Enlightenment Radio Network. Thank you so much, cousins, for doing that. And we're going to hear a good report. And Daryl, he's a trooper, even though he's under the weather. He is over the top on getting stuff done. This has been a great night of broadcast excellence. And the greatest part is you. I mean, I love that. Call after call after call after call after call. Bing, 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 boom. That's what we're after. If you disagree with me, call me up. Be polite. Be interesting. And let's have a talk. If you love me, call me up. Be polite. Be interesting. Let's have a talk. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a good night. And we are here for one reason and one reason only, to help you unindoctrinate yourself. And that, folks, is why we are a shock to the system. I'll see you tomorrow night at 10 p.m.
Oh, yeah! It was a night, oh what a night, LA burning bright, oh what a night. Yeah, come out, you make the world stand still. All riot, race, revolution. Oh yeah, I think I'm a fire, I'm a world bursting. I say yeah, well you can rock this land, baby. It's like a shot to the system. It feels good, well alright. It's like a shot to the system. I said yeah, ain't it Irish? It was a night, hell of a night, LA. It really was a water ride. Yeah, come on, it made my life feel real. All fear, and simple corruption. Oh yeah, if there were a man who would be king and the world stood still. Oh yeah, you can rock this land, baby. Like shock to the system, if you good, well alright. It's like a shock to the system. I say yeah. Come on, baby, shock to the system. It feels good. Well, alright.